Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our June 21st City of Milford Council meeting tonight. We're going to start out with with the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. So if we have somebody or someone or something that we want to be thinking about, give this moment of silence that opportunity. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, Jackie, roll call.
Yes, Vice Mayor. Mayor Evans, Vice Mayor Russell,
Here.
Mr. Haskins.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Cooper.
Here.
Mr. Redmond.
Present.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Here. We need somebody to
Make a motion to
Ma-
excuse Ms. Evans.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
Mr. Redmond.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, this is the fun part of our job here on City Council, and that is tonight we are reading a proclamation, and this is for Artsy Fartsy. So I'm going to come up to the stand, and we're going to have Kathy come up there too, and I'm going to read a proclamation. Let me get it to my level. Hello? I know that Lisa was kind of sad that she couldn't be here tonight, but I'm filling in for her, and I'm happy that I'm honored to be able to do this. So from the Office of the Mayor, City of Milford, Ohio, whereas Milford resident Kathy Barney launched Artsy Fartsy Saturdays in 2012 to serve children in the Oakwood Housing Complex with creativity as a springboard to voice, self-expression, confidence, and possibilities, and whereas almost 100 children have been served on a long-term regular basis, often over a 5-year period, with monthly programming for 4th to 6th graders. 100% of those who age out continue through junior high as mentors to younger participants, and whereas the pandemic altered the program, curtailing in-person meetings and diverting funding from the arts to necessities. In response, on July 16, 2022, Artsy Fartsy Saturdays will host a homecoming to gather students past and present. Launch the book Artsy Fartsy Saturdays, building creative community in our neighborhood, and a companion feature film shown on the banks of the Little Miami River. Now, therefore, I, Lisa Evans or Sandy Russell, whoever you, on behalf of my colleagues on the Milford City Council, and by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor or Vice Mayor as the City of Milford, Ohio, declare Saturday, July 16th, Artsy Fartsy Saturday, in honor of the neighborhood arts organizations, its persevering and creative students, and the 2022 Artsy Fartsy Saturdays homecoming. I had tears in my eyes, I'm sorry, when I was reading this, because you've done so much. Here, I'm going to let you talk. Or the kids. Yes, absolutely. Come on up.
My name.
You can raise it up.
Yeah.
You're taller than me.
Hi, my name is Antonio, and I'm a rising sophomore at Milford and been involved with Artsy Fartsy since 5th grade. I want to invite council members, the city, and residents to our July 16th Artsy Fartsy Saturdays homecoming. I'm excited to see my friends and for other people to experience it like I did. Artsy Fartsy Saturdays is a great space to be with your friends where we feel like family.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am a rising 8th grader at Milford and have been involved with Artsy Fartsy Saturdays since 4th grade. Artsy Fartsy is also like a, I forgot the word. But it's kind of like an inspiring kind of thing that Miss Kathy's really done for our community that we were in for a really long time. Please join us for the book launch and movie premiere at 8 p.m. on July 16th at Milford American Legion. Bring a chair or towel for the movie.
That's a great banner.
You should come over here so they can see it in the camera.
Yeah, if you turn around, then you can be on the camera.
It's always been my goal to have an artsy fartsy Saturday.
Yes.
Kathy, did you want to say a few words? I want to see your book. Bring that book back up here.
7-year effort just to really honor these amazing kids, a testament to that they really mattered in a very rich, creative community. This is the only proof copy, but I'm getting the rest by July 16th. They're each going to get a copy, and we'll have some more for sale. But I'm so appreciative to all the support in this community that we have had over the years, or we wouldn't be here. And thank you so much.
This will be okay. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing. I, Vice Mayor, officially open the public hearing regarding the City of Milford 2023 tax budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor Russell and Council and all of our honored guests for being here for this annual public hearing for the 2023 tax budget. State law requires the council adopt the tax budget prior to July 15th and submit it to the county by July 20th. The tax budget is a kickoff to the budget process in a very preliminary stage. Council will adopt the final budget in November or December after meeting publicly to drill down on the details. And of course, the city is welcome to make any public comments at this time, but also note there's still going to be plenty of time to offer feedback or suggestions for council to prioritize in 2023. Basically, Milford runs a tight and efficient budget. The city spends wisely. Council spends the city's money as if it was their own. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. We are so fortunate to have all of you council members who are such careful of taxpayer money. The city will need next year, and this is baked into this tax budget, this preliminary tax budget, the city will be needing some quick cash for short periods of time next year for some big projects. And for this reason, we remain conservative. Topping that list is the super exciting new $4.3 million water tower and water tower line project. We have some really great state grant money on deck for that. Lieutenant Governor John Husted came to Milford last year and presented a $3 million Ohio Builds grant for the water tower itself. And then the remaining 1.3 for the water line work that needs to get done. That's going to be split almost half and half with Ohio Public Works or OPWC providing grants for about half of that 1.3, and then the other half, roughly, the American Rescue Plan Act or ARPA COVID funds, leftover COVID funds will cover the other half. So bottom line, water tower and water lines, $3 million plus 1.3, almost 100% covered with grant money. It's phenomenal.
Amazing.
It's really amazing. So the catch is that the city will need to prepay much of these costs as we build. that's why we need some quick cash on hand, especially the $3 million. We do know that's what the state's telling us now. We're hoping that might change, but if it doesn't, we're prepared. We definitely will be prepared. And this is where the quick cash comes in. The city will have short periods of cash outlay before the state reimburses, and we don't know how much or how quickly we'll need the funds, but we need to keep cash on hand for that purpose. We also have a $295,000 canoe and kayak launch that's in the making. And again, we have some really great grant money coming our way. Like the water tower, this project might require the city to prepay before it gets reimbursed. So again, needing some quick cash on hand. We're looking at a generous state capital budget grant covering $245,000 of that, about 67%, meaning Milford's match will be about $50,000. So for the canoe kayak launch, city will owe $50,000 and might have to prepay $245,000 while it's being built. So I know that's a lot of detail, just kind of in a nutshell. Water tower, canoe and kayak launch, $4.6 million in total. Almost all of it covered with grants. I think $50,000 is our portion. For the kayak launch. We might have to prepay that as we go, and that's why we're being conservative with cash. So finally, the other thing I wanted to take note is that the Milford Community Improvement Corporation, the CIC, is looking at options for 25 Main, and that's the former Park National Bank building. Next month, we'll need to start the decision of whether to pay off the $540,000 in debt. If we do, that'll be another $540,000 in quick cash that we would need. Or we might turn over that, it's a bond anticipation note, we might turn that over another year, just depending on where the CIC is on that, and council, of course. So anyway, the one thing I do guarantee about this tax budget available for anybody to see is that it will change when we get around to budget work session time. But we did try to be very careful with this one because we have so much big project money on the line. So to wrap it up, again, this is a very preliminary budget. Per state mandate, it's been available in the finance office for public view for 10 days. We haven't received any requests to review it, which is not unusual. But if you would like to see it, just call me or email the finance office. We'd be happy to send it out or make it available. And I always welcome anybody in the public or council or staff to call me anytime. Anybody who knows me knows I love to talk about budgets. At this point, so that's it. I pretty much want to ask council and the public if anybody has any questions on the budget. Tax budget? Yeah.
In the back.
Yeah.
State your name and address.
Toby Iacano, 212 Cleveland. This is first I've heard of a kayak launch. Is this public? This is Milford. What does it entail?
That's an excellent question.
Okay.
Michael, do you want to take this?
Yeah, it will be located at Troil Park, which is just kind of across from the Little Miami Brewing Company. The existing, if you want to call it, canoe and kayak launch that we have washes out. It's just not very conducive to folks that are on the river. There is a private launch there, which anyone participating in the river that's not part of that group cannot utilize that canoe and kayak launch, so they're kind of forced, if you will, to get out at the city's public opening, which really isn't very efficient for canoe and kayak folks. Also, there's a public safety factor involved with that. The closest ramp for any type of water rescue is really up at Kelly Nature Preserve, a few miles up the river. As we all know, with public safety, every second counts. There's a tremendous challenge to utilize the private access at Troil Park. In a lot of ways, on a lot of occasions, they cannot back their rescue boat in and get on the river. So improving our existing canoe and kayak launch, not only for outdoor recreation, which we noticed during the pandemic has increased by 300% according to the Ohio Department of Tourism, but also we're tackling that, Plus, we're tackling public safety and making it a little bit of a safer place for those folks that are on the Little Miami River. Again, as Ms. Worthland mentioned, we've been very successful in getting some grants to cover the majority. Actually, it's going to shake down to about 87% of the total cost of that project once it's all finished.
Anybody else? So with that, I would like to present Resolution 2022-637, a resolution approving the tax budget for the City of Milford, Ohio for the year 2023.
Second.
Okay, I'll read that in the course of the
Okay.
agenda.
Right.
And if there's no comments, motion and second to close the hearing?
So I make a motion to close the hearing.
Right.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we are approving the city council meeting proceedings from May 17th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Making a motion to adopt April 2022 finance report that we've received, May 2022 finance report. Assuming everybody.
Sorry. So moved.
Second.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
All right, we have public comments. Any public comments tonight before we get into the meat of rest of our meeting? No? Okay, well, if there's no public comments, then we have standing committee reports. And I'm on board to read the Administrative Service Committee meeting. The meeting was held on June 16th at 3 o'clock. Present was myself, Lisa Evans, Kim Chamberlain, staff, Michael Doss, Christine Seltzer as our Community Development Coordinator, Finance Director Pat Worthland, Law Director Mike Medina, and Jackie Bain. Visitors were Lynn Cheney, Mike Mankhouse, Damian Nelson, Lori Howland, and Mr. Ryan Harding. Proceedings. We approved the updated minutes from the May 11th meeting. Then we discussed proposed legislation regarding short-term rentals and regulations. Mr. Doss reviewed the suggestive changes, information regarding short-term rentals and regulations. 740.01 removed the word owner-occupied. 740.03 added the word residential, and 740.04 permitting fee amount changed to $500. He stated that he did not feel these were substantive changes, but wanted to figure out with the committee a time frame to enact this ordinance. If we take this ordinance and it becomes effective January 1 of next year, this would then be a substantive change, which would make the whole legislative process start itself back over again, starting Tuesday, unless we get the 5 necessary votes. Anything else, if it's effectuated on Tuesday night with no significant changes, it would go into effect at such time. Any other extended periods would need to be discussed. Mr. Doss informed the committee that the staff wanted to come before committee with the changes they were suggesting. Mr. Meneers discussed the effective date with the committee. The rationale was to due process and fairness require a person to be given an opportunity to go through a permit process. We will have not even had a permit application generated yet. Ms. Seltzer commented that 740.03 rule regulation needed to be changed to read, residential short-term rental property is not permitted within the 300 feet buffer zone of another residential short-term property, and no more than 30 short-term rental properties shall be permitted per calendar year. The committee discussed and concluded that a permit application process would be available within 60 days. October 1st, 2022 was proposed as the date to which those that the ordinance applies to must come in and complete the permit process. Ms. Chamberlain made a motion to take the updated information as discussed in this meeting to council. So we had numerous residents, as I mentioned, that were for and against that came up and stated, and their comments are duly noted in minutes that can be obtained. Ms. Chamberlain made a motion to move this council to council's meeting. So then we agreed. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance to be effective immediately. Residential owner and non-owner occupied short-term rental properties are prohibited. In the body of the ordinance, it will be indicated that persons currently not in compliance with this ordinance shall be given until October 1st, 2022 to be in compliance. That's a mouthful. Then we moved on to discussing medical marijuana facilities. Mr.
Do I need to second that?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
I recuse myself.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Okay, then we moved on to medical marijuana facilities. Mr. Doss discussed how the state has offered up additional licenses for medical marijuana dispensaries in the state and that they have gone through a lot of reprocesses. There were several applicants that listed the city of Milford as their address to place dispensaries. Several LLCs placed multiple applications for one property. We have received any permitting or any application from, we have not received, or we have?
We have not.
We have not received any, for any application for permits for any of those properties. There is a concern for how many medical marijuana dispensaries can you have within a city, and it can have an impact on economic development because of the stigma that it's still around. The committee discussed and considered limiting the amount of medical marijuana dispensaries within the city of Milford and to only allow one operating licensed facility at a time. Ms. Cheney commented that currently in the insurance industry, even it is allowed by the state, marijuana is not recognized at the federal level as being legally operated business and as such cannot insure them. You may need to input some insurance criteria for the business. So the committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance limiting medical marijuana operation facilities to one licensed operation facility at one time in the city of Milford.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
I recuse myself.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
And then we moved on to 5633 Happy Hollow Road lot split. Ms. Seltzer brought to the committee's attention an application for a lot reconfiguration located at 5633 Happy Hollow Road. The house is located on a parcel in Milford, and the driveway is located on a parcel in Miami Township. They are looking to combine the driveway property into the main part of the property. All departments have reviewed this information and don't have any concerns. Mr. Ryan Hardig from Vioxx and Vioxx discussed with the committee the property size and reviewed a layout of the property. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance approving the reconfiguration of the lot at 5633 Happy Hollow Road.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes. The establishment of the Park Levy Improvement Fund, number 418. Ms. Worthland brought to the committee's attention that a month ago she asked for approval to make Fund 208 for the park levy. She has since then has had second thoughts about it after talking this over with financial experts. They have decided to go in a different direction. It would involve two funds. Fund number 418, Park Levy Improvement Fund, which accounts for the park development, and Fund 432, Bond Levy Retirement Fund, which accounts for the debt payment, separating one from the other. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing the creation of the Park Levy Improvement Fund, number 418.
Second?
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Local government formula. Mr. Doss discussed the local government fund formula and how it is dispersed. Milford's formula with the new township model went down to a bit over 50,000, which was set to go on a 3-year scale. This model, which 3 groups have to vote on, Claremont County Commission, the City of Milford, and the combination of the townships and villages. If they are to exclude the City of Milford, they must pass an ordinance every year. If they include the City of Milford in their formula, it is good for a period of 5 years. Mr. Doss reviewed information regarding consensus model with the committee. He went over the information on several resolutions being circulated throughout Claremont County with the Township Association, and also a mayor's model going around. The model that benefits the City of Milford the most is the Claremont consensus model. Ms. Wortham also discussed Milford's involvement in the process and the race for resolutions process. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft a resolution authorizing adoption of an alternative method of appropriation of the undivided local government fund for calendar year 2023 through 2027.
Second?
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Non-union employees' compensation. Mr. Doss informed the committee that it is that time of year to discuss non-union employee compensation. At the end of each calendar year, we pass a resolution for employee compensation for non-union employees. We have collective bargaining employees, and contracts for those for bargaining pay increases are effective July 1st of each year. We are trying to line them up with the union contracts. That is why you are seeing this information now instead of at the beginning of each year as previously done, and to be distributed by a flat amount that he or she can divide up accordingly to staff. Mr. Doss also asked for an additional consideration for the Assistant Chief of Police and Finance Director to have their portion of their pension picked up. They are vitally important position, key roles within the City of Milford. It would be 10% for the Finance Director and 12.25% for the Assistant Police Chief. They are not getting an increase with the 21,000, but it is also about retainage of good quality employees and their names to be identified in the ordinance. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance to increase the amount for non-union employees' compensation in the total amount of $21,000 to be divided up by the city manager.
Second?
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance to have a portion of the pension picked up for Assistant Chief of Police in the amount of 12.25% per year, and the Finance Director in the amount of 10% per year.
Second?
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond.
Yes.
There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 4:28. Thank you. That leaves community development. Mr. Redmond.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We had our Community Development Committee meeting on June 16th. I called the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. Present were myself, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Haskins, City Manager Michael Doss, Finance Director Pat Worthland, Executive Assistant Jackie Bain. We had no visitors. The first order of business was to appoint a committee chairperson. Mr. Mitchell made a motion to appoint myself as committee chairperson, seconded by Mr. Haskins. All said yes. Then we moved on to approving the proceedings from the September 2nd, 2021 Community Development Committee meeting minutes. All said yes. The first order on the agenda was the discussion of the 5 Points Landing Park Engineering Architectural Project Management Proposals. City Manager Michael Doss discussed information regarding the 5 Points Landing Park proposals. We solicited for proposals and received 3 competitive proposals. MSP Design, proposal for engineering design and project managed services for $208,000. Kleininger's proposal for engineering design and project managed services for $223,900, and S&S Engineers for $250,000. Mr. Doss explained to the committee how MSP, with the original concept design, went back and sharpened their pencils to get the proposal down to $208,000. The total cost estimate with the engineering construction to make this park Phase 1 happen was $2.8 million. If you will recall, we ended up borrowing $2.8 million, but only $2.6 of the amount is for the project and engineering because we have a few $100,000 for interest on the loan to get the project funded. So we are not having to wait 5 years to do this project. Any cost savings that we can find, the better. Ms. Worthing reviewed the estimated cost with the committee. Mr. Redmond asked about the turnaround time on the plans. Mr. Doss stated that once this approved by council, we will get with the selected engineering firm and produce a schedule. His goal is to break ground on this project in September, with the overall project finished by July or August of next year. The committee had further discussions regarding the different proposals other than the price. After the discussions, we settled and decided to choose MSP as the engineering design and project management. So the committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing to enter into an agreement with MSP for engineering design and project management services in relation to the 5 Points Landing Park in the amount of $208,000.
Second.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Moving on, Mr. Doss discussed FC Storm Soccer and the program to potentially use our existing ball field at Riverside Park for some of the practices and games. The city would be responsible for mowing the grass. They would be responsible for maintaining the field. We will have to work out an agreement with them. The ball field is currently highly underutilized. The committee discussed with and agreed with Mr. Doss to take out the entire diamond area to make it into a soccer field. Mr. Redmond asked about any updates regarding the Canoe launch. Mr. Doss said that we did receive the $190,000 from the state of Ohio. He's still waiting to hear back about the Community Development Block Grant, which is through Claremont County. It is a $290,000 project, which 83% of the project will be funded by grants. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 5 p.m. with a motion from myself, seconded by Mr. Haskins. All agreed.
Thank you, Mr. Redmond. Public Service Committee, Ms. Chamberlain.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Public Service Committee met on June 16th. I called the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Present was myself, Ted Haskins, and Kyle Mitchell. Staff, City Manager Michael Doss, Finance Director Pat Worthland, and Executive Assistant Jackie Bain. The committee read and approved the February 11th, 2022 Public Service Committee minutes. The first item on the agenda was discussion of the Wallace Water Tower engineering and project management proposals. Mr. Doss explained that we received 2 bids for engineering services for the water tower project, one from Branstad Carroll. Their proposal was in the amount of $278,500. S&S Engineers submitted a proposal in the amount of $220,000. Mr. Doss discussed why he feels more comfortable recommending Branstad or Carroll for the project. This project is a federal grant and is not coming directly from the city of Milford, and feels that they are more familiar with our water system, and he would rather go with an engineering firm that he is aware of and have done work with in the past and has been intimately involved in our water tower and our water discharge and supply lines. Resident Donna Lucky of Milford, Ohio, questioned if the water lines will be underground and if the lines will go through people's properties. She also asked about the current spillover water from the top of the tower, as well as current cell towers that are located on site. Mr. Doss explained that the water lines will be buried underneath the ground and will go through existing properties that the city owns in the same footprint where the existing water tower is. He also discussed landscape screening in the area and the spillover water at the top of the current tower, which will not occur with the new water tower. The cell tower companies will be contacted since the towers will have to be removed for the project. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing to enter into an agreement with Branstad or Carroll, Inc. for engineering services associated with the Wallace Avenue Water Tower project in the amount of $278,500.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
We then talked about the influence sampling machine invoice. Mr. Doss brought to the committee's attention that the wastewater plant had to replace their influence sampling machine. The amount of the invoice was $7,553.67 from USA Blue Book. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing to pay USA Blue Book for the influence sampling machine invoice in the amount of $7,553.67.
Second.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
We then talked about Adlita Construction State Route 28 asphalt repairs invoice. Mr. Doss explained that the water leak on State Route 28 came with considerable damage. We had to shut down all lanes. We had to shut down the lanes on a Sunday and repair the water leak. It was imperative that the road then had to be open with a holiday weekend and Frontier Days upon us. Detouring traffic through the neighborhood was not an ideal situation from a safety point. The cost to open the road to mill, pave, and full-depth pavement repair was going to be approximately $113,000. We tried to have our insurance cover this, but they would not due to it being a water main break. We contacted Adlita Construction, and they gave us an estimate to patch the road so we could then open the road as an emergency action. The amount of this invoice is $13,824.96. Mr. Doss also discussed that during the water main break, there was damage done to the storm sewer system manhole and degrading the pavement in that manhole area, which is making the area unstable enough, and they do not want cars driving over this area. A contractor has been contacted to repair the area, and then we will have to pave and patch the road back up. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing to pay RLA Utility LLC invoice in the amount of $13,824.96.
Second.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Worthland commented on the rebuilding of State Route 28. Next year, we have two funds, Permissive Tax Fund and the State Highway Fund, that can only be used on streets, and they have built up enough money to pay for the most part. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 5:25 with a motion from Mr. Mitchell and seconded by Mr. Haskins. We all said yes.
Thank you. All right, summertime is always a difficult time. We appreciate staff and all they do to kind of cram all this stuff in that we have in one meeting. So just thank you for all that. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just want to inform the public and council, and probably there's several residents out here that hopefully will be joining us tomorrow. The city is going to be hosting a neighborhood meeting at 5:30 p.m. here at City Hall. Tim Casto with the Kleinger's Group will present a project to hopefully alleviate some of the stormwater issues on Laurel Avenue and portions of Cleveland Avenue and Mill Street. The project is anticipated to be constructed with in-house city labor and materials. So if you're interested or if you're impacted by some of that stormwater runoff, it's been going on for quite some time, I do encourage you to come to the neighborhood meeting tomorrow at 5:30. As mentioned in the report, State Route 28 repairs, our sanitary sewer manhole was damaged as a result of essentially a water tower emptying itself in under an hour. Created some internal damage to the manhole that we did not know until we got in, patched everything up, and then we saw another problem. So that repair will be finalized tomorrow. They'll bring in some flowable fill, which is kind of like liquid concrete, hardens up, and we do hope to have the road open for traffic before this weekend. Right now, we're just kind of detouring off in a lane, but we hope to have everything opened before the weekend. Jim Troil Park Canoe and Kayak launch, we talked about that, the funding we're receiving from the state, anticipated funding we're going to receive from the Community Development Block Grant. But just to let everyone know, we do anticipate that project will begin construction and be finished early spring of 2023, waiting for the funds to come in, but hopefully we have that up and running for the summer so everyone can enjoy that. The Ohio, or the U.S. EPA Superfund site, Aquifer, it's been a very significant hot topic for the city for many, many years. Pleased to report that representatives from the EPA will be meeting with the city on July 13th to discuss the proposed remediation plans for the Superfund site. This meeting is a preliminary planning phase for the overall remediation and resolution of any contaminants that are located on that site. So finally, after years of, quite frankly, nagging the U.S. EPA, we feel that they're coming and finally fixing that and correcting that and abating that issue for remediation. So hopefully some good things to come. We can get that off the books. SWOR waste and recycling bids. Again, the city of Milford is part of a consortium of municipalities and townships in the greater Cincinnati area that join together to essentially bid out our waste collection and recycling. We do that every 3 to 5 years depending on the contract. We're in our final year of that contract, so we worked with the Cincinnati Area Center for Local Government. They pull all of the bids together for all the municipalities and townships and then put it out for bid. So they do all the bidding for us essentially. Do want to let the council know that we have been working with our consortium and with the Center for Local Government with the bidder. It actually is Rumpke. They're the only ones that put in a bid. We have several questions that we've asked the Center of Local Government and other municipalities and townships have asked the Center of Local Government to bounce off of Rumpke, just trying to polish up and clarify some things. We do think that from the city of Milford standpoint, considering inflation, considering the cost of fuel, we actually the bid looks pretty great for us, pretty good for us. Probably just butchered English language there, but looks great for us. So I'm hoping that in the next month we can come back to council with a great bid that will also benefit our citizens, not be too heavy on the wallet, and will provide and continue to provide pretty good service as far as waste collection and recycling is concerned. Standing committee meetings, there are none at this time. Looks like we're going to get all our business done here in June. Some reminders, July 3rd, which is a Sunday, in the Park returns, the city of Milford down at Riverside Park. It will be at 7 o'clock. We'll go from 7 o'clock to 10:15. We will have some adult beverages, some soda water, some cool treats, and also a food truck down there. for refreshment purposes. We have a couple of bands that will be performing, of course, fireworks later on that night. And then also a reminder that July 19th, since we are on our summer schedule, July 19th will be our next regularly scheduled city council meeting at 7 p.m.
All right, that moves us into the police report. Chief?
Good evening, Madam Vice Mayor and City Council. You should have received my main monthly report a couple of weeks ago, but I'll touch on some of the highlights. In terms of training, we sent 2 officers to crime scene specialist training. We sent 3 officers to a mental health symposium. All supervisors successfully completed our annual all hazards plan policy review and test, and I participated in a disaster drill with the Claremont and Warren County Emergency Management Agencies. We had a higher than normal occurrence of incidences in terms of notable occurrences. We had 2 public suicides that officers responded to, a burglary at Concord Woods Apartments, 2 rape offenses, 1 on Cooper Avenue, 1 on the Oakwood Apartments, 2 breaking and entering offenses, 1 on Chamber Drive, 1 on Highway 50. Squad 1 officers executed a felony warrant arrest of a Homewood Suites employee through a Crime Stoppers tip that we received. We took a $16,000 in computer equipment theft report that was taken from a truck on Chamber Drive. Officers handled a psych emergency of a juvenile armed with a large knife. The juvenile was eventually disarmed with the assistance of her parents and transported to Children's Hospital for an evaluation. Officers addressed numerous fallen trees and downed power lines during the severe storm back in May. Squad 2 officers successfully negotiated the surrender of an armed wanted subject who was also the subject of a pending temporary protection order. In lighter news, some administrative items. The Tri-State Peer Support Team Pet Therapy Dog visited the station on May 18th. I assisted the Hamilton Township Police Department with their captain promotion process. I also attended the Click It or Ticket campaign kickoff at Mike Castrucci Chevrolet. And Detective Rogers received an Excellence in Police Service Award at the 2022 Claremont Law Enforcement Awards banquet. Lastly, some community relations items. Officers completed 12 hours of bike or Segway patrol, conducted 3 senior visits, 57 vacation house checks, 637 directed patrols, and issued 15 cop watch notices. Squad 1 officers attended the Walmart Appreciation Cookout. As you recall, Police Appreciation Week falls in the middle of the month of May, so we had a lot of love in May. Officer Dennis was interviewed by a female college student interested in a career in policing. Officer Kenny played basketball with a troubled youth twice during the month. The department assisted with the annual Memorial Day Parade. Officers hand-delivered Frontier Day Parade notices to all of the residences and businesses inside the parade route. Squad 3 officers stopped by Pattison Elementary for their annual carnival. A Squad 3 officer assisted a stranded subject at Holiday Inn and provided a courtesy transport to the drop-in shelter. Squad 2 officers attended the DARE graduation at Pattison Elementary, and the department received a very nice appreciation certificate from the Claremont Senior Services for our commitment to their senior visit program.
Busy month.
It was a very busy month.
Wow.
Thank you all for everything that you do. And I have a question. What is a cop watch notice?
Good question. Cop Watch stands for Criminal Opportunity Prevention. So it's some departments call this a night eyes. Essentially, it's our officers out there, typically in the evening or overnight patrols, that observe a condition that might be enticing to a criminal.
Oh,
So they
okay.
leave a notice to the resident, hey, you might want to put your child's bicycle up. We found your garage door open, something along those lines.
Oh, okay.
Just shows that
Nice.
we're out there looking for ways to prevent crime.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I received one actually a few months ago, and I was very appreciative because I had left my garage door open. And I thought it was really cool to see on my car in the morning.
Yeah, we get a lot of positive feedback on that.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Baird, Fire and EMS. How are you? Marvelous. Nice.
How bad can you be when you just come back from vacation?
You look like you
I
got
know
a
you look
nice
like-
tan.
Nice raccoon eyes going here. So I appreciate opportunity to speak. The written report, the monthly report will be completed. It got lost in the vacation time, so we'll get that taken care of. But a few things from the department. First off, with Michael's permission, we are doing our first spray park of the summer on this Thursday. from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. at the parking lot at the old Milford Main School, future 5 Points Landing Park. We've engaged the other city departments to help get the lot ready and put some no parking signs up and whatever. So we really would like to have done it tomorrow when it was going to be 155 degrees, but that schedule-wise, just we couldn't make it work. So we're going to do the first one on Thursday. There's information on social media. If you visit our Facebook and our Twitter, you can share that information to people who you think may be interested in bringing their kids down to have a good time in the water. We've done it for several years now. It's always been real successful. So we had a significant amount of training completed in the past month or so. 2 students completed a week-long training in swiftwater rescue along with several other departments that respond to emergencies along the Little Miami River. In addition, we had 2 students up at Bowling Green State University for a heavy vehicle rescue class, week-long class, where they spent a lot of time cutting on and moving very large vehicles with the portion of the interstate that we not only have first response responsibility for, but in addition to that, the mutual aid runs we make with Miami and Union Township on the interstate, we get quite an opportunity to be involved in some really intricate rescue work. So having people trained in that is very important. In addition, District Chief Nickel and Lieutenant Wurzelbacher completed the week-long Blue Card instructor training, which will allow us to do a lot of our continuing education for our Blue Card certified employees in-house versus having to send them out at some cost. And that nearly all of that training I just mentioned was paid for by grants, so very little of it had local funds attached to it. The Firefighters Club will be selling, as Mr. Doss mentioned, the Sparks in the Park. The Firefighters Club will be selling water and cola at Sparks in the Park again this year. All of the money that the Firefighters Club raises goes back to purchasing equipment and training for the fire department so we can better protect the community. Also, I want to just acknowledge the work that Michael and the staff did for securing the Canoe and Kayak launch ramp. The increase in recreational users of the river that we have enjoyed because of the popularity of the city and the popularity of outdoor activities has increased our calls for emergency service along the river pretty significantly. And we really needed to have an access point, a dedicated access point in the city versus relying on the privately held access point that we currently have, as well as the Kelly Nature Preserve ramp, which is just simply too far away to be effective in an emergency. And so I just want to thank Mr. Doss and the staff and the City Council for making that happen. We were definitely advocates for that from a public safety standpoint, and it will be of benefit going forward. And so I appreciate that. That's all I really have for this report. If you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to entertain those. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any council comments on anything?
I have just one quick one, just being part of the Memorial Day Planning Committee, but thank you to the police and fire and all the citizens, the Legion. It was a very nice event, and we are honored to keep that tradition going. So thank you for coming out for that.
Thank you for your committee and all that you all do, because it is a good event.
Yeah, we're one of just a few cities that still do this every year, this Memorial Day parade. Hopefully it'll get bigger next year, too. All right, new business. Well, that brings us to Mr. Manier. We got a lot of ordinance and resolutions tonight.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Resolution 22-636, a resolution authorizing adoption of an alternative method of apportionment of the undivided local government fund for the calendar years 2023 through 2027. Now therefore be resolved that the Council of the City of Milford hereby authorizes the adoption of an alternative method of apportionment of the undivided local government fund for the calendar years 2023 through 2027 based on the distribution set forth on the attachment hereto, which attachment is fully incorporated herein pursuant to section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter. Requires a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
This next one also only requires a motion to adopt. Resolution 2022-637, a resolution approving a tax budget for the city of Milford, Ohio for the year 2023. Now therefore be resolved by the council of the city of Milford that the tax budget submitted by the city finance director for 2023 shall be and hereby is adopted and approved.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-147, an ordinance authorizing pension pickups for the Assistant Chief of Police and the Finance Director. Now therefore be ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford. Section 1, the Council of the City of Milford hereby authorizes pension pickups for the Assistant Chief of Police, Sean Mahan, in the amount of 12.25% per year, and for the Finance Director, Pat Worthland, in the amount of 10% per year. Section 2, pursuant to, in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Mulford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council. Need a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-147, an ordinance authorizing pension pickups for the Assistant Chief of Police and the Finance Director.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-148, an ordinance authorizing merit pay increases for non-union employees. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford. Section 1, the Council of the City of Milford hereby authorizes the city manager to establish merit pay increases for non-union employees, excluding the city manager and law director, in the amount of $21,000, effective June 27, 2022. Section 2, pursuant to, in accordance to Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-148, an ordinance authorizing merit pay increases for non-union employees.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-149, an ordinance enacting Chapter 740 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Milford for the regulation of short-term residential rental properties, whereas the Council of the City of Milford has deemed the short-term rental of residential dwelling units to be a commercial business activity, and whereas Council has determined that short-term residential rental properties as a commercial business should be regulated, now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1, the Council of the City of Milford hereby enacts Chapter 740 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Milford, titled Chapter 740, Short-Term Rental Property, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charters, Chapter 740, is attached hereto and fully incorporated herein as if fully rewritten here in Section 2. This ordinance enacting Chapter 740 of the Codified Ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council. All persons, firms, entities, and corporations currently operating residential, non-owner-occupied short-term rental property in violation of Chapter 740 shall have a grace period until October 1st, 2022, in which to bring themselves into full compliance with the provision, terms, conditions, and requirements of Chapter 740.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Redmond?
I recuse myself.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-149, an ordinance enacting Chapter 740, the Codified Ordinances, City of Milford, for the regulation of short-term residential rental properties.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
I recuse myself.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-150, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2021-90 and Chapter 737 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Milford, Ohio regarding retail medical marijuana dispensaries within the corporate limits of the City of Milford, Ohio, and prohibiting marijuana cultivators and processors. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of City of Milford hereby amends Chapter 737 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Milford, Ohio as follows. Chapter 737, medical marijuana cultivators, processors, and retail dispensers. Section 737.01, definitions. As used in this chapter, marijuana means marijuana as defined in Section 3719.01 of the Ohio Revised Code. Medical marijuana means marijuana that is cultivated, processed, or dispensed, tested, possessed, or used for medical purpose. Section 737.02, medical marijuana processing and cultivation is prohibited. No person shall cultivate or process medical marijuana. Person means every natural person, firm, co-partnership, association, or corporation. Section 737.99, penalty. Whoever violates any section of this chapter is guilty of a misdemeanor of the first degree. Each day that any person continues to violate this chapter shall constitute a separate and complete offense. Section 2, no more than one retail medical marijuana dispensary shall be permitted to operate within the City of Milford. No medical marijuana retail dispensary shall be located within 500 feet of the boundaries of a parcel of real estate having situated on a school, church, public library, public playground, or public park. Section 3, this ordinance shall amend ordinance number 2021-90 and Chapter 737 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Milford, and amend and supersede any ordinance, resolution, regulation, or rule which is clearly inconsistent herewith. Section 4, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
I recuse myself.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-150, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2021-90 and Chapter 737 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Milford, Ohio regarding retail medical marijuana dispensaries within the corporate limits of the City of Milford, Ohio, and prohibiting marijuana cultivators and processors.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
I recuse myself.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-151, an ordinance establishing a park levy improvement fund number 418, now therefore be ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of the City of Milford hereby authorize City Finance Director to establish the Park Levy Improvement Fund number 418, Section 2, pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-151, an ordinance establishing a Park Levy Improvement Fund number 418.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-152, an ordinance authorizing agreement with MSP for engineering services for the Five Points Landing Project, now therefore be ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford. Section 1, the Council of City of Milford here authorize the city manager to enter into and execute an agreement with MSP for engineering and architectural services for the Five Points Landing Project for the contract amount of $208,000. The terms and conditions of the agreement are incorporated herein by reference, pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter. Section 2, pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-152, an ordinance authorizing agreement with MSP for engineering services for the Five Points Landing project.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-153, an ordinance authorizing agreement with Branstad Canoe, Inc. for engineering services for the Wallace Avenue Water Tower. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of the City of Milford hereby authorizes the city manager to enter into and execute an agreement with Branstad Canoe Incorporated for the provision of engineering and project management services associated with the Wallace Avenue Water Tower for the contract amount of $278,000. The terms and conditions of said agreement are fully incorporated herein by reference, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Mulford City Charter. Section 2, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Mulford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-153, an ordinance authorizing agreement with Branstad Canoe Incorporated for engineering services for the Wallace Avenue Water Tower.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-154, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of an influence sampling machine from USA Blue Book. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of the City of Milford hereby authorizes the purchase of an influence sampling machine from USA Blue Book for $7,553.67. Section 2, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-154, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of an influence sampling machine from USA Blue Book.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins, Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-155, an ordinance authorizing payment to RL Utilities LLC for State Route 28 asphalt repairs. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of City of Milford hereby authorizes the City Finance Director to pay the sum of $13,824.96 to RLA Utilities LLC for asphalt repairs to State Route 28, Section 2, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-155, an ordinance authorizing payment to RLA Utilities LLC for State Route 28 asphalt repairs.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-156, an ordinance authorizing combination of parcels to create a new parcel at 5633 Happy Hollow Road. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1, pursuant to and in accordance with the City of Milford Subdivision Regulation 1107.10E, the Council of City of Milford hereby authorizes combining parcel number 210724B34-1P and parcel number 182513E331 in order to create a new single parcel with a parcel number to be assigned at a later date. Section 2, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately on its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second?
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-156, an ordinance authorizing a combination of parcels to recreate new parcel at 5633 Happy Hollow Road.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. We did a lot of stuff tonight. Oh. Well, is there any old business that anybody wants to discuss? Anything that anybody wants to bring up? No? All right. Well, we're gonna adjourn this meeting then.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Vice Mayor Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great job, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, gosh.